Why, hello there, fellow farmers. Rotomon here. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Primitive Survival, episode 35. Time for some grunting. So, crew, help me spot seeds. Actually, before I leave the base, let's empty our pockets out a bit better, because I did, honestly, a crap job of that, and I want more space for stuff. I don't think I reasonably need torches or ladders where I'm headed. And then the soil I'll put away, and the andesite I'll put in the smith. That's a little concerning. That kind of grass is what allows for bunnies to spawn. I don't really know if they are going to, like, spawn frequently enough in this biome, though, given the ambient temperature and all, but still wouldn't want them. My water jug has 2 liters of water, so my water jug should be fine. So I haven't done a lot of exploration up to the north. So I'm going to head northbound for seeds. And again, we're looking for primarily green seeds, but I'll take anything at this point. I have the bag space. And like somehow or another, I wandered off in a direction that it was the most devoid of seeds. Maybe I'll head towards the forests, because the thicker jungles make it really hard to spot anything. The other thing I could do is grunting. So if you get an earthworm grunter, you can dig for earthworms. Is there a guide for that? Maybe not. Yeah, perhaps not. But to essentially be able to farm earthworms, and the purpose is you can have earthworms form earthworm castings. And earthworm castings is a fertilizer used for farmland. And a block of earthworm castings... so essentially you take a stick and a knife and you create a grunter and you sort of like drag it across the earth to mimic rainfall. It brings earthworms to the surface, and then you can put earthworms in a pit, kind of like you do pit kilns, to create earthworm castings, which forms an earthworm castings block, which then can be used for like fertilizer. I don't think we need to do that method right now, but like that's, you know, it was only reminding me because staring at an earthworm. Yeah. Use it in a controlled environment to manufacture worm castings. Exactly. All right. Wild grains, where are you? I want to sow my wild oats. Here's spelt. Also, there's like bees right there. All that running for bees, and it was in my own backyard. You couldn't figure out earthworm casting fertilizer? Yeah, maybe if the vote circles back to farming again, I'll start like a castings pit. I haven't actually done it myself, I was just right about it. Mostly because, like, with the amount of saltpeter I have available around me, I really don't need castings fertilizer. So the thing about carrots, they're not heat tolerant, they're cold tolerant. So I'm just going to leave them, as it's not a reasonable thing for me to try to farm around here. We should also be on the lookout for any other important resources like high-fruit soils or, you know, whatever else we find. Chickens nearby. Yeah, let's mark those down. There's a bunch of chickens in the area, because if we ever want to start a chicken coop, having chickens as close by is way more convenient, because you have to periodically check the traps. The TLDR is you set traps, you bait it with like flax or something that they want to eat, and then they trip it and get stuck in the boxes, and if you don't periodically check the boxes, you starve and kill them, right? Like, you can't just perpetually leave chickens in a box or a crate or a papyrus box or whatever and expect them to live very long. So having chickens are in your own backyard is a huge advantage, so you don't have to go too far to recheck them. Plus there's bunnies, not that I want to breed bunnies. The long and short of animal husbandry, to give you just an overview, is certain animals will become domesticated over time. Not animals are capable of domestication. So like wolves or hyenas or bunnies cannot ever be domesticated. So they're not worth capturing for the most part, save for some like isolated, you know, reasons you might want. Whereas chickens and sheep and goats and the like will become domesticated over time. And the advantage of that is they're pretty violent and distrusting of you initially, and every generation, so like generation 0 of sheep or mountain goats or whatever, will actively harm you. They are going to fight you at every turn. But by generation 2 or 3, they stop fighting you. They are basically pets, not wild critters that you've penned up. And the same is true of chickens. Chickens, when they are not used to you, will try to, you know, will panic, won't lay eggs, will resist you. And then as they get used to you, you can be around them, which makes them more calm and able to lay eggs when you're within proximity. So for chickens specifically, if you are too close to them, they panic and like will try to run away from you and won't lay eggs. Basically, if they're in a state of panic, they don't lay eggs, which means when you start a chicken coop, you can't have your starter chicken coop be anywhere near where you commonly walk, because if you're close to them, they're just constantly frightened and will not ever lay eggs. And then as time goes on, that will change, and after a few generations, they become used to being around you and don't fear you as a result. So it's it would be a good idea to mark down the chickens. Now, for goats or anything that produces milk, so for the other animals, you've got sheep, you've got bighorn sheep, and bighorn, well, not the males, but the bighorn sheep females can produce milk. You've got goats that can produce milk. So if you take a look at milk, does it even tell you where it comes from? No, it's just like magically you don't even know. Cool. What about the guide? Animal husbandry guide? Rearing livestock. So yeah, this sort of explains. You have sheep, goats, pigs, chickens, hares. So chickens are good for eggs and feathers if you want to have a lot of feathers. Pigs and hares would be mostly for meat. Pigs do breed fast, but they eat a lot. So it's a way to like produce a lot of meat, but they're not particularly useful for anything but meat, and they will go through fodder quickly. And then sheep and goats. So as far as what I would consider ever doing, because hunting is so easy, would be sheep, goats, or chickens. And I just haven't seen a lot of sheep and goat around me. So that might be a lot more difficult. And then on top of that, as I had mentioned earlier in the stream, Sheep and goat hurt. So I wouldn't consider, and so did boar, right? Getting pigs. So I wouldn't really consider animal husbandry for those critters because they're just going to kill me. They're just going to constantly kill me because it only takes like 2 or 3 hits at my armor and satiety levels for them to just obliterate me. So there's really no point in starting to try to tame those guys because it's just a suicide with extra steps. All right. The reason I've been getting the mature turnips is like we can eat the turnips. Honestly, the seeds, I might as well just toss out. I don't need to keep them. I'm never going to plant them. Finally, some flax, of which I got a single seed. Or 2 seeds. Ah, more soy. Just to confirm, did they fix this? Oh yeah, they did fix it. Oh no, that's my pro pick. Never mind. For a second, I thought that was my hoe. It used to be that you could like till the soil underneath it, and it was like a bit of an exploit. It's not an exploit ever used, so I don't even know if it's still one. I guess I can get rid of this marker. Let's double back to some of the markers. I mean, I do have some wild wild crop marked down on my map for when I used to auto map mark it. I might as well just hoover that stuff up and get it planted. They fixed that bug? Cool. Man, I mean, it's about time. It was like cheese as hell. You could just like till soil and get good yields off of wild crop. Like, that's not how it should have worked. Which is why I never used that exploit. Really? That's the only amaranth that was there? Okay. Fine. Delete. This terrain is definitely not the kind of terrain I want to be on. I'm trying to find seeds, though. Should wander out of here. Oh, more clay. Already have that marked, though. Oh, granite? I don't even want granite. What's painful to me is I know the density of like wild crops is quite high, and my ability to spot them is quite terrible. I did somehow manage to get 15 turnips here in the tropics, which is a bit of a head scratcher. It's one of the things I kind of wonder about. Why? Because Vintage Story is like extraordinarily good at more than almost any other game at like rock strata and like reasonable biomes and world building. But then when it comes to wild crops, I'm not gonna say it fully falls flat. Like, you're not gonna find cassava up in the Arctic, right? Like, it does a decent enough job, but I'm actually rather surprised that like something like turnips would even be in the tropics, because it just can't thrive here. So why does it exist? I'm not entirely sure. And oh, I think that's our bear, right? I marked down that this was a black bear territory. There he is, just chilling. Really hasn't wandered far from my marker. I'll put a new marker down. Seems to be minding his own business. And I certainly don't have any weapons that could, or armor that would be effective without terrain exploits. So, we'll leave him be. Let's go ahead and sow the seeds that we got. And then I'll go grab some saltpeter. I think we're about to lose daylight, it seems. Which is a good reason to go into the caves once that happens. So, more flax. I thought I had rice. Soybean, amaranth, sunflower, spelt. I didn't pick up any. I picked up. Okay, I guess I really didn't. Yeah, I have actually some pineapples growing. It's like by far the worst crop to probably put in the ground in the game, because it's like super ineffective for growing speed, but I'm not necessarily against expanding. And pretty soon it might be a reasonable time to do the first batch of grains, because I have a lot of a decent amount of grain to grind, and we can make bread for the first time. Maybe once this project's done. Let's get a little bit more food going now. Now, pretty soon, the flax and stuff that we have put down will be ready. And, that means we'll have a bit of a windfall of, extra seeds. But I'm just not waiting for that windfall of extra seeds, because I'm, quite frankly, impatient. We'll add turnips to it. Fish and turnips. That sounds awful. But it's not awful, it just sounds gross. Still haven't swarmed yet. Only one skep. I'm still surprised. Check it up on the salt. I think the salt probably still needs more time. Yeah, it's only half done. This, like, area is so strange. It's, like, super flat, devoid of almost all trees. It almost looks like an artificial, like, peninsula here, where I settled, with how, like, flat and uniform it is. mean, obviously it's not. I just picked this spot. But it does look unusual. Alright, back to the food. I really want to get all the plots filled. So the follow-up question I have for you guys is, should I just plant anything in the remaining plots, or grain only? Or I should say K grain only. If I do anything, I could prioritize K stuff like soy too. Oh, and this flex just got mature. Because that's fertilized. Yeah, let's see. Because that's fertilized, I'll plant like a pumpkin. Well, no, that's not how pumpkins plant. Pumpkins are weird crops, unlike all other crops where they require multiple plots. So I'll just put sunflowers there. Oh, what the hell? What do you mean you're cold? Oh, oh, I'm stupid. I put 5 or 6 turnips in there instead of 5 and screwed up the recipe, and it wasn't actually cooking. This whole time I was like, oh, what's going on? What a waste of wood. I mean, I noticed. At least I noticed. Took me a while, but... Alright, so once that's done cooking, it looks like I'm just going to plant anything in the remaining plots. And sometime down the line, I can organize it better. Once I have a lot of seeds, I can just pick and choose and have like rows of similar and alike crops. But for now, I'm just putting whatever the heck down. So maybe what we'll do is a bunch of spelt for more grain. Ooh, that nice and filling. $32 liters of water now. You can actually kind of see it. Once it, I mean, I can see the water line there. It's faint. Once it fills up, it will be very obvious because it will fill to the top. It's pretty cool. All right, we're planting anything in there. So we have our flax and our rice, which is K crops. The rest of these, I will do spelt. All right, grab more seeds. Amaranth, sunflower, because those are also grains. And then I'll get it fertilized. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots left. Well, I have exactly 7 soybeans seeds. So that will be the remainder. All sown. All right. Next step. I'm going to want to get saltpeter. So for fertilizer, bone meal is what you want for phosphates, which I don't really have a lot of phosphates planted in the farm, so I don't really need to worry about that. potash is what you would want for a lot of potassium, but obviously I don't have the right materials for that. I can't make potash. Saltpeter is the stopgap, which also does a little bit of nitrates, which is going to be good for everything I planted in the new section. But ideally, it's going to be best for the K crops. And then compost is like mostly nitrates, but I don't have rot for the compost because I haven't had a massive amount of excess fertilizer. So I think what I'm going to do is just do saltpeter for all of these spots except for the medium nutrient. Because the medium nutrient, I'm just going to let it deplete the soil and replace the soil. But the high fertility soil, I don't want to replace the soil because the soil's valuable. So that's the plan there. So I'm going to go get some saltpeter from our cave and put it all up where the oh crap, I don't have my lantern. Put it up all where the high fertility soil is, which is I think 52 plots of it or something like that. And because I'm almost done with that, what do you want me to work on next? And if you vote for agriculture, what I could do is I could start working on like terra preta or earthworm castings or something like that. It'll be up to you. Where'd I put my lantern? This is gonna be a recurring thing, isn't it? Where did I put it? Yeah, castings being 10% in all categories is like good stuff. Because it's there it is. Because it covers all the bases. And if you have enough of it, you can just like dump it everywhere. Obviously, it takes a while to get to that point where you have like loads of castings where you can dump it everywhere for fertilizer, but once you're running terra preta, I mean, that might make sense. Depends on what point of progression you're at. $25. I could just dig up this whole section and leave the rest for the next batch of farming or whatever. And this is only one of multiple, like, there's more saltpeter over there. I mean, there's saltpeter everywhere in this cave. There's another section of saltpeter down there. It is laden. But alright, got what I needed. So, let's get back and plop this down, and then perhaps work on another agriculture task. And I'll subsequently like poll you for what you want it to be. I think because of I don't think it's going to be possible to like really start orchards because of ambient temperature. I mean, we can try to fertilize you know, like fruit trees, but fruit trees require like multiple days in a row of like kind of colder temperatures before they take to the ground. So I don't think that that's going to be a viable possibility. All right. All fertilized. Just checking on our current crop, see if anything is ready to go. We have a lot of the flax is like on the precipice of ready to go, but not quite there yet. And seems to me like you guys want me to work on agriculture. So what subtask of agriculture? Expand the farm again. Make terra preta. Soil. Make earthworm fertilizer. What other farming tasks could I do? That might be about it. Those three? No, there you go. A subpole. What was that noise? Thought I just heard like a critter of some sort, wild critter. Maybe it was my imagination. When you're alone in the world long enough, you start hearing things. Spooky noises. I should probably put my rot basket somewhere more prominent. But at least we have one. Alright, looks like earthworm fertilizer is going to be the task. So, we want an earthworm grunter. So you place this in your offhand, use a stick for grunting for earthworms, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, forest floor is the best place for that. Let me look it up just to make sure I'm not, like, wasting time doing it wrong. It's not something I've done a lot of. And this is part of primitive survival. It's worth noting. So if you're wondering how to do this, it is a mod, primitive survival mod. Cosmetics, creatures. So to collect some earthworms, anywhere there's soil in a reasonable climate, you'll find worms. But you'll need to look, right-click under rocks and sticks to locate them, or you can grunt. So where is the details about grunting? I'm just looking at their website right now. Or their mod page for the full details. So, in order to use them for your own fertilizer, dig a 1-block hole and use a hoe to turn the bottom into farmland. Then place the worms in the hole. Eventually, the worms will turn that farmland into a block of pure worm castings. Break the block of worm castings and use that fertilizer for your garden. Alright. Let's go ahead and create a earthworm castings hole. It's a little weird, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it, like, prominently in the middle of the farm. Just so that I don't, like, because if I had it, like, over in the side, I might not even notice that the process is done. So the first thing is we have, dry farmland. I don't think it matters about the moisture level. I'm not certain that that is an issue. So the next thing we want to do is to grab a knife and a stake, shave it down, and shave it down. So here's our earthworm grunter. And you're curious about cooking earthworms? I don't think you can cook them. You can eat them raw, but they're not they're not involved in a recipe. Same is true of like termites. Oops. Is this maybe not a task for nighttime? Alright, so now with the earthworm grunter, place an offhand, use a stick with, okay, so use a stick with the grunter. And there we go. It looks like we're doing something dirty, but apparently this is how to grunt. And it's supposed to bring earthworms up to the surface. Let me just read about this a little bit more. Yeah, that's about all it says. So, let's try to make this work. I thought it was supposed to make a noise, though. The grunter, that is. Huh. I'm gonna dig through the mods info pages for this specifically. Oh, one issue that we might have for earthworm grunting is their temperature tolerance. So forest floor is the most effective for grunting. More fertile the better. Grunting does not work on farmland. It can't be too cold or too warm. So the problem is, it might be that it is, yeah, it's too warm right now for earthworm grunting. Earthworm grunting does not work when it's above 30 Celsius. So, what I can do in the meantime, as a stopgap measure, is to turn over rocks in forests and find earthworms that way. That's why the grunting wasn't working. The temperature thing. The problem with upturning random rocks is, I'm probably going to get stung by, or not stung, bit by snakes, but, you know, you voted for this. So, the current priority right now is to make worm fertilizer. And to avoid getting killed by snakes. Oh joy. And then as soon as the ambient temperature drops a little bit, I should be able to do some earthworm grunting. The only other worry that I have is I'm not sure how the worms that I do find, well, I guess we'll see, because the ambient temperature might be a perpetual factor for our earthworm success. Basically, I live somewhere too hot to ever really allow for earthworm fertilizer. That very well may be. There's not enough details in the mod manual to really give me that answer. So unless you guys know. I might not even be able to find earthworms right now because it just went to 30. Once I see this read to 29, temperature shouldn't be a factor anymore. It's probably rounding down to 30, not up to 30. I could be wrong. No worms yet. One thing that would be cool is if the game took weather into consideration. Like if it rained, it would cool down. Because generally speaking, when it rains, it does cool down. That'd be neat to include as a mechanic. So it's 29 Celsius out. So let's head into the forest floor biome and try to grunt for worms. Oh, that's a thrown stone. I've been turning over stones like crazy. How have I not found, oh, whatever. There we go. Yoink. Oh, it's... Oh, never mind. Yoink. No, don't eat it. Dummy. Grab it. Rain should spawn earthworms? Yeah, that too. Come on. Where's the noise? And I'll get like, I don't know, 10. Ooh, double. Up to 6. I suppose if you wanted to like pre-treat an area with like a scythe where it's like really flat forest floor and you scythe all the grass away, like that would be the easiest way to do this. I'm not gonna bother this time, but like in the future, maybe that's the smart way to do it. So you have a big open flat plain with no obstructions or anything. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Primitive Survival, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Seraphs.